Hey student, watch this video and learn 3 common mistakes when asking questions in English and how to stop them. If you don't know me very well, hello, I'm Teacher Prix and I'm going to help you talk to anyone, anywhere, anytime in English. Make sure to subscribe to my channel because every week I post different kinds of English lessons to help you become a better and more confident English speaker. If you have already done so, thank you. I appreciate it. Smash that like button, support the channel. But here we go. Let's talk about mistakes. Because here, guys, on my channel, I help pre-intermediate and intermediate students to go from stuck to speaking. This is my mission. That's my goal. That's what I work with. And at this level, at a pre-intermediate level, it is important to pay attention to some grammar mistakes that can impact your English speaking. Because one thing that I teach my students is that everything is connected. It's important to integrate all the English skills. And that's what I teach here on my channel, okay? Asking questions correctly or as correct as possible is vital if you want to go from stuck to speaking. So it's not about perfection. I don't want you to think of this lesson as, oh my goodness, I can never make mistakes again. Oh my goodness, what am I going to do? No, it's not. That's not what I mean. As correctly as possible, review, check it out. And that's how you're going to get better, okay? Now, this is something that I do with my students from my academy, with my BSA. A few weeks ago, we had a workshop to talk about questions, to work on questions, because on the platform, I'm always checking my students' work, checking their mistakes. My BSA, I call them BSA, baby sardine in the area. So we had one to ask questions, to practice doing that. It is so important to review, to study, correct persistent mistakes. But without further ado, let's talk about mistake number 1. Using the verb to be every time you ask a question in English. Every move you make, every breath you take. Don't think about that when it comes to verb to be. Every question I ask, no, okay? You're not going to use verb to be in every question you ask, in every conversation you have, no. Bye-bye verb to be. Don't do that, okay? So here, the typical question is, the typical questions are using simple present, and there are questions you ask with verb to be. That's not what I'm trying to say here. There are questions you use. This is something that I got into detail with my students from the academy. Here, with them, I really got into more details because we have more time there. So that's usually something I do with them. But here, are you work here? No, it's do. Oh, but Priscilla, this is so easy. Yeah, but then when you ask a question, you forget it. You need more review. Persistent mistakes require more persistent work. Always keep that in mind. I study Italian. I'm not fluent in Italian. I know I'm not. I know I need to work and keep going. Well, fluency is communication, not perfection. So I speak. I speak really well. Parlo molto bene. Capisco benissimo anche. Ma, okay, the thing you need to understand is persistent mistakes need persistent work. I am always reviewing prepositions. I'm always going back to prepositions in English and in Italian. Do I still make mistakes? Ecco, purtroppo. I do, okay? I make mistakes. So persistent mistakes require persistent work. Oh, but it's so easy. Yeah, but even then, even with the simple things, actually, it's with the simple things that you should be more careful, because that's where you're going to make more mistakes, because you're going to think that it's not important, that you already know. Eliminate the mentality of I already know. Review, okay? So are you work here is very common, and I'm telling you, I often hear students say this, using verb to be to ask a simple present question. Is she understand the lesson? Are you like to watch this video? All of these ones are wrong. So be mindful. Oh, Priscilla, are you going to explain all the question rules here? No, I'm not, okay? I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to explain all the questions, the grammar points. That's not my goal here, okay? So what I recommend you do is, in my channel, here on my channel, I have many videos where I teach in detail how to ask questions in English. I have many videos actually, but I wanted to make this one. But let's keep rolling. Teacher, how do I fix it? Well, first you need to understand that questions with verb to be are possible. Of course they're possible. I'm not a hypocrite. I know they're possible, but they are more limited, okay? Typically, the object next to the verb will be adjectives, nouns, prepositions, adverbs, but not verbs, okay? So this is something you need to review. Maybe practice questions with verb to be and then questions without verb to be so that you can start to show your brain the difference, the contrast between a question with verb to be and a question without verb to be, okay? So unless you will only find a verb next to verb to be if it's an adjective or if it's a different tense, present continuous, okay? So this is where things get a little blurry because as a beginner, you learn a structure, then as you keep going, you learn more and more and more, and sometimes you may get confused. Oh, but I saw a question. What are you doing? Verb to be. Yeah, but it's present continuous. I also have lessons here on my channel, so check it out. And hey, so support the channel. Oh my goodness. That's why it is important, as I said, to do this contrast. Review questions with verb to be, questions with auxiliary verbs, but don't stop there. Create your questions, okay? It's very important. That's how you learn. This is something that I do with my students in the academy all the time. Now, another thing, mistake number 2, using auxiliary verbs with modal verbs or using to after modal verbs. So here we have a combo of 2 mistakes. Using auxiliary verbs with modal verbs. Do you can? Does she can? Did you could? No, don't do that, okay? Or using the preposition to after modal verbs when asking questions, when making affirmative sentences, when making negative sentences. This is very common in all kinds of sentences, negative, affirmative, question. So for example, do you can to help me? This is the typical. It's double mistake. Using do with a modal verb and using to after the modal verb. The only exception of a modal verb, a real top modal verb where you don't do this is when you have ought to, which is similar to should. I should study more. I ought to study more. Then it would be possible, okay? May you to open that? No, don't use the preposition to when using modal verbs. The most popular modal verbs, may, must, can, could, might. Let it go, let it go. Don't use the preposition to. Let it go. Anyway, should you to study more? No. So this is a common mistake, okay? Before I move on to mistake number 3, make sure to smash the like button. Subscribe to my channel, why not? You know? And if you're interested, if you want to organize your study routine, maybe you don't know how to study, how to organize your plan, and you need help. I know I can help you. My 21-day study plan cycle. Learn how to become independent, how to organize your study routine. That's what I teach in this really cool study plan cycle. Get the link in the description, but let's keep rolling. Mistake number 3, not studying the exceptions. I love languages. You learn a rule and then there is an exception. It's like, well, there's a change, there's something different. So that's not how it works. So this happens, okay? This happens. So not studying the exception. This is something that I talked about on Instagram yesterday. By the way, I don't know if you follow me on Instagram, but hey, check it out. And in some situations, we don't use auxiliary verbs in questions. Do, does, did. We don't use them, okay? When we know when the subject is the W8 question. For example, let me show this to make this easier to understand. Who bought this? Someone bought this phone. Who? I cannot say who did buy because I don't know who. Who did? I don't know. So I want to know who. I don't know the subject. I don't know the person or the thing, who did or that did the action. So typically with questions with what, who, which, whose, if I don't know the subject, these words become the subject. What happened? I cannot say what did happen because I don't know the what. I don't know the what that did the thing. I know this may sound confusing, but I cannot do this. What did happen? There's no subject, so I cannot use did. What do happen? I don't have the subject. Do you, do they, do the teachers, do the students? I don't have it, so I don't use do. Okay? As I said, this is going to happen with who, what, when, which, whose, okay? As you can see on the screen, the second example, I also use who, but now I'm using did. Who did you buy this for? So you bought this, but not for you. You bought it for someone as a present. Who did you buy this phone for? Okay? So you see, now here I know who did the action. I have a subject. It's you. It's you. Dun, 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 dun. It's me. So do you get it? So this is a situation when you don't use auxiliary verbs. So it's important to study exceptions. And there are more explanations, okay, to these exceptions. That's why you need to study them to avoid these mistakes in English. There you go. Now, how to fix mistakes number 2 and number 3. You will need to spend time creating your questions. And I know it's the same recommendation I gave in mistake number 1, but I have to insist a little here. But let me give you a tool. Let me share a tool with you guys. I've talked about it before, but when it comes to mistakes, there's no app that will be 100% perfect. I don't think so. Well, technology is evolving. Technology is improving, but there's still a long way to go, okay? Now, suppose you created some examples, some questions, and you don't have anyone. Like when my students post on the platform, I correct, I give some feedback. But you're not in my academy, you're not a BSA, you're not doing that. So what can you do alone? You can get my study plan and you can do this, okay? Basically, you finished creating your examples. You will open Grammarly. This is an extension. It is also an app, but I like to use the extension because when I am studying, I use the computer. I don't use my phone, only if I'm recording my voice. But to study, I sit down and I study by using my computer, okay? So you open Grammarly and you paste your questions. Now, Grammarly is not free. It's paid. But the free version will already show you some mistakes. Not all, but some. And that's good enough for me. I don't pay Grammarly. I still have the free version. Okay, I'm like, nah, I'm good. I prefer the free version, you know? And it works wonders, okay? Not saying it's bad. So this is what I do. I use it. I also use it. So this is something you can do. You can create your examples, reviewing, asking questions, and then you post the questions there and see the observations that you see, some corrections. It's better than nothing. Now, guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. Make sure to subscribe to my channel, share this lesson with a friend. But other than that, I'll see you next time. Bye!